Hey everybody. I am constantly asked questions about how much caffeine can we drink as professional voice users or as, that subset of professional voice users of singers. Should I avoid caffeine at all costs? Do I have to make up the amount of liquid that the diuretic effect of the caffeine is having? Today I'm going to answer that question. Hi, I'm Stacey Menton from SingingMamasHomestead.com, where we provide information for singers and professional voice users about vocal wellness on a path to whole person wellness. Alright, so let's get started. Today we're talking about caffeine intake. In regard to caffeine intake, the general rule used to be, at least when I was in college, that for every caffeinated beverage you drink, you need to drink 2 glasses of water. So like 16 ounces of water to make up for the 8 ounces of caffeinated beverage, whether it's tea or coffee or soda, whatever it is. So essentially it kind of makes you just not want to drink that stuff at all, because that you start to feel so overly hydrated, or at least I did. So since that time, there has actually been some research done about the effects of caffeine on the body, and it's a little bit different than we originally thought. What's the big issue with caffeine? Well, there's 2 things. Number 1, caffeine is a diuretic, so it can leach hydration from your tissues, potentially. And number 2, it loosens the sphincter muscles at the top and the bottom of the esophagus, the food pipe. So if that's loosened, it can allow reflux to come up. We don't want either, especially as singers. We don't want our tissues dried out because then they don't vibrate as well, and we don't want reflux coming up, spilling over onto the vocal folds, again making them not vibrate as well, and also potentially causing irritation inside the throat that makes us clear our throats, which again will make the vocal folds swell and they won't vibrate as well. So it's all about the vibration here. Caffeine can have those effects. It doesn't mean you shouldn't drink caffeine at all. If you like a caffeinated beverage, you want your morning coffee, or there's, your guilty pleasure is a soda or a diet soda sometime during the day, you don't have to give that up. Reason being, so 2 things. Number 1, when it comes to the diuretic effect of caffeine, we now know that the body actually gets used to the amount of caffeine you typically drink, and you don't have to replenish that hydration because your body's not going to fall for the diuretic trick of the caffeine, essentially. Number 2, in terms of the reflux coming up, you want to make sure that you're drinking your caffeinated beverages earlier in the day. By drinking them earlier in the day, you reduce the risk of lying down, which is when we're at higher risk for reflux just from the sphincter muscles being loose. And then you just want to avoid, things that might kick up your reflux. And if you have reflux, you're probably aware of what those are. And if not, I'll leave a link in the description below to a different video about laryngopharyngeal reflux. So really, the bottom line is 2 things. Number 1, drink any caffeinated beverages you're going to drink them earlier in the day to reduce the risk of reflux coming back up, because you're going to be upright during the beginning of your day usually. And that's actually when we tend to like caffeine too, and sometimes towards the end of the afternoon when we're feeling a little bit down. But again, you're still upright for probably a couple more hours after. All right, and then number 2, try to drink the same amount of caffeine every day so your body's used to it and that doesn't have the diuretic effect. Now, if you've tried drinking your favorite caffeinated beverage and things aren't going well, and you've been doing it for a week or so, and you're like, gosh, my body is just not regulating this, my body doesn't like this, well, everybody's body is different. So the advice that works for me may not work for you. But I'd also encourage you then to see your laryngologist and see what they say in terms of how much caffeine you should be drinking. Or maybe in your case, you need to give it up. It all kind of depends. But in general, most people should be able to tolerate small to moderate amount of caffeine in their day. The same amount is probably going to be less likely to lead to the effects of dehydration. Again, to figure out if you're dehydrated, you just want to look at the color of your urine, make sure it's pale to clear, and focus on, am I thirsty? If you're thirsty, drink something, specifically, ideally water, but something that's going to get rid of and quench that thirst. All right, so that about does it for today. Oh, and also, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about vocal health and hygiene or vocal wellness, consider taking my course. I'll put a link in the description below. All right, it's been a pleasure talking to you today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. I'm Stacey Menton from SingingMamasHomestead.com, and I wish you success on your wellness journey.